Yeah.
Tonight is Masechta Shabbos, Kuf Nun Vav, 156. We said that there's Machlokes Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rebbe regarding adding water to, flour, whether it's called gibel or not. Rabbi Yossi said adding water is not enough. You got to actually stir it. Rebbe said, even adding it alone is already gibel. And Rabbi Yossi said, as long as you change the normal way of mixing it, then it's okay. Heichem Mishani, how do you change it? Al yad. Means you do a little bit at a time. You don't do a large amount. Vishavin. Shavin means both Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yehuda agreed. Sheboichshin es hashosis b'Shabbos. You could. This is also some kind of animal food that was made out of parched kernels. So you could mix that with water. V'shosin zisuma mitzri. Zisuma mitzri was some kind of mashke that people drank for refuah. But even without refuah, it was medicinal. People drank it like for a cocktail. So therefore, you could drink it on Shabbos. So how could you tell me the shavin that both Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef would allow you to do gibel v'hamrid ein goivlin? We said before that certainly Rabbi holds that you cannot do gibel. So it depends. Lo kasha haba ava haba raka. It means this animal food. If it was very thick, then there would be a problem. But if it's very thin, then it's not a problem. And as also you did some kind of shinu. Heichi mishani. Rav Yosef, number one, bachol noises achoymetz, va'achakaf noises hashosis. During the week when you made this was somehow mixed with vinegar. So they would put the vinegar first, and then they would put the animal food. B'Shabbos, you do it the opposite. Noises hashosis, va'achakaf noises achoymetz. Okay. Levi b'reit Ravuna Barchia. Levi, the son of Ravuna, Ashkei legavlu de Nasya, the Kagav of the Safil Elutar. He saw the one of the people in the house of the Nasi that was mixing this and feeding the ox. Botash be kicked him. Also Avua Ashkechei. So the father of Levi came, found him doing it. This is what your father said in the name of Rav Uman, Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Abba Goivlin v'lo masfin. That means you can mix it, but you can't feed biyadayim. You cannot feed them. However, udulo lokit b'lishnei, he wasn't careful with his words, meaning mahalkatin lei. You could feed them, the mahalkatin was like some kind of force feed where you, by a calf, that you put it where they couldn't be choizer. Hanemili u'de mishani, as long as you did a shinu. Yechi mishani. Arm Yeri bar Shavim shein dabai shesi ve'erev. You did the gibul, the mixing by like a cross, like you take a stick this way and take a stick this way. Freik the gemor v'halon arv shapi, but doing it that way, you're not going to mix it well. Rav Yehuda menaro lekli. You shake it in the kli, and that's also a shinu. Now, ksiv apinkasei de Zeiri. Zeiri had like notes, and it was written in the notes of Zeiri. Amrit Kodim Rabbi. This was said in front of the Rabbi Uman Rabbi Chia. Who we talking about Rabbi Chia? Ma'ala Gabel. Can you mix animal food with water on Shabbos? Amr Aser. Ma'ala Farek. Can you put it into the kli, one after another? That means by transferring it from kli to kli, in a way, you're mixing it. Omar Mutter. So he said, since this is a shino, he permitted that. Omar Rav Menashe. Chad kame chad, trei kame trei. Fine. One bowl in front of one animal, trei kame trei, two bowls in front of two animals. Fine. Shapidami. Plus a kame trei osir. Three bowls in front of two animals osir. That's two. It's like a tircha. Rav Yosef Amar Kava Fil Kavai. No, you can put even a Kav, even a Kavai, Ula Amar Kura Fil Kavai. That means no limit how much you can put in front of the animal. Ksiva Pinkasid the Levi was also written in the notes of Levi. Amit Kodem Rebbe. This halacha was stated in front of my Rebbe Umanu Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rebbe. Al Dahavu Gavlim Shasisa B'Bavel. The fact that they in Bavel they would do this mixing on Shabbos on the Tzavik Rebbe would scream Man Rabbeinu HaKadosh Al Dahavu Gavlim Shasisa V'Lesh Tashmiya, right? Because he felt that you shouldn't do it, and they weren't listening. Why? Because Les Chela B'Dei L'Meisa Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. He didn't have the power to aser because Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda was who permitted. It was matir, was more lenient, and they relied on Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. So he was never able to have his chumrah be accepted. Ksiva Pinkasei Rabbi Shua ben Levi was found written in the notes of Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Haiman the Bechad B'Shabbat. We're gonna go into some astrology concepts here, like when was a person born, what day of the week, and under what mazel, under what constellation. So Haiman the Bechad B'Shabbat. Somebody was born on Sunday. He gavar v'lo chadabe. He'll be a person, but he will not be unique. What does that mean? My v'lo chadabe ilem v'lo chad l'tivo. That means he won't have one, even one good attribute. Ravashi, what do you mean? I was born on Sunday. And love chad levishu. That means he won't even have one bad attribute. That means he'll be completely good. Ravashi, what do you mean? Ano, me, the DB Karkusta, we were like in the same class. We were friends. We were both born on Sunday. Ano Melech, who Reish Ganvi, I became Rosh Hashiva. He became the head of the mafia. He became a Ganef. So obviously there were negative aspects, even though he was born on Sunday. So what does it mean? The Gemara says it means either he'll be 100% good or he'll be 100% bad. One kufnun vav, a little bit, halfway down. My timer. Now, why is a person born on Sunday either completely good or completely bad? Because the Ivrube or Vachoshech, on the first day of creation, the Kadosh Baruch Hu created light and dark. So light is either light or dark is either dark. You can't be one or the other. There's no gray. It's either pregnant or you're not pregnant. Now, hi man, somebody who was born on Monday, Yehi Gvar Ragzin, he's going to be easily to anger. My timer, Mishum de Ifligu Be Maya. That on the second day of creation, Hashem divided the waters, right, between the Mayim Yonim and Mayim Tachtoinim. So that's the concept of chiluk. So a person's going to be, he's going to always fight. Haiman de Betlosu B'Shabbat. People were born on Tuesday. Yehi Gvar Atir. He will be wealthy. V'zanoyeh, but he will be an adulterer. My timer. Why is that? Mishum de Ivru Be'asovim. The grasses, Tadshei Haaretz Deshe. Rashi says, Udover Shapara the Rabba Ma'od. Right, grasses mix in with everybody. They grow quickly. That's why they'll be wealthy. And it's pritzus. And it doesn't say ksiv lemineu. Later on, by the other animals, he's going to say that each animal is going to mate with lemineu. But by the grasses, they can mate with anybody. And that's why the person will be an adulterer. Haiman de ba'arba b'shabbat. Somebody born on Wednesday, Yehi Gvar Chokim V'Noyer. He'll be very wise and clear. my time. Because on the fourth day of creation is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the Ma'oros, the sun, the moon, the Kochavim, which refers to light, Torah or. Haiman de B'chamsha B'Shabbat, somebody was born on Thursday, the fifth day of creation. Yegvar Goimel Chasodim. He'll be a Goimel Chesed, charity, good deeds, my time. Mishum de Ivru Bei Dogim V'Oifos. Because fish and birds, Rashi says, She'ein Torchen Lachlan, they have no problem eating. Their food is everywhere. So therefore, it's a skula that the person born on that day will be a goy melchesed. Haiman de b'malei Shabbat, somebody born on Friday. Yehei gvar chazrim. He will be somebody who chases after mitzvahs. Rav Nachman Yitzchak chazrim b'mitzvahs. Haiman de b'shabta yehei. Somebody born on Shabbos. B'shabta yamus. He will die on Shabbos. It's like David HaMelech. David HaMelech was born on Shabbos, died on Shabbos. Al dachilu alu yom rabba de Shabta. The reason for that is, since a person's birth, there's a lot of chilul Shabbos. So in a sense, he has to have kapara. He dies on Shabbos because of so much chilul that occurred when he was born. Rabba Rav Shila, the Kadisha Rabba Yidkari. He will be a holy man. He'll be known as a holy person because he's born on Shabbos, a holy day. Amar Rav Chanina, Puku Amru Le'Bari Levoy. Go tell the son of Levi, right? The Bar Levoy is Yoshua ben Levi. Lo mazel yom goyrim, ela mazel shah goyrim. It's not the day's mazel, right? Up until now, we've been learning that the chura, the day of your birth, is what is goyrim, what kind of attribute. Says now Rav Chanina, no, it's the hour of the day. Ela mazel shah goyrim. We're going to see that there are 7 hours. It's the sun, the moon, the planet, the 5 planets. They knew 5 planets. They knew Venus, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. Right? Is that 5? Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter. Remember, Uranus wasn't discovered until Sir William Herschel in like 1760. And then Neptune was discovered somehow in the 1800s. You know, once they had the microscope, once Van Leeuwenhoek, right? Van Leeuwenhoek is like in the 1650s, created the microscope, then, grinding lenses. Isaac Newton, in the end of the 1600s, wrote all the laws of optics and lenses. Then they figured out how to build microscopes and telescopes.
By the way, I have a whole in the Steinsaltz over here. There's a whole it tells you exactly the hour, the day, what would be your muzzle. In other words, whether it's Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Sun,
right.
Moon for Mars. It's a whole thing. I wish I could show it to everybody.
Right. No, my son-in-law is here. It's a table.
Same thing.
My son-in-law also uses the Koran, and the way it works is the 7 hours. It starts from the time of creation, and it goes 7. That means every hour. Let's say 6 o'clock in the morning. 7 hours and 7. So every person is born at a certain hour. The day of his birth and the hour of his birth relates to a certain, like I just went through. It's the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets in that order.
I don't understand this whole Gemara because we don't believe in mazalot. We don't believe in that.
Hey, the Gemara ain't mazal Yisrael. That's going to come up very soon.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So, anyways, it's sun, moon, then Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. And then it keeps on going in that same order. Now, so he said Mazel Shogor. And now we're going to go Haiman de Bechama, which is if you're born under the sun, Yehi Gever Zivsim. He'll be a beautiful person. He'll be handsome. And Yehi Ochel Midilei.
He says a radiant person. He's radiant.
Right. So he's beautiful, like the sun.
Radiant is not okay. Fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yofe. He's handsome. That's the pshat. Kishemesh hameir. Yeah. He's got a luminescence.
In face. Yeah.
Yeah. He will eat from his own. He'll drink from his own. It means, he'll have his own resources. Virazui Galyan.
And his secrets will be exposed.
His secrets will be revealed. And if he tries to be a robber, he won't be successful. Haiman de Bekoichav Noiga. Noiga, I think, is Venus.
Yes.
Haiman de Bekoichav Noiga, Yehi Gvar Otir. He'll be wealthy. V'zanoi, he'll be an adulterer. My time of Mishum Disyalid Benura. Venus is very hot. It's much hotter than the earth. So it has to do with fire and passion. That leads to wealth and adultery. Haiman de Bekoichav Yehi.
Mercury.
Was that's
He
Mercury.
will be Mercury
Haiman
will
de
be
Bekoichav
enlightened and
Yehi.
expert.
He'll be it'll be clear and wise. Mercury is like the secretary of the sun, because Mercury follows the sun. Wherever the sun goes,
closest to the sun.
Huh?
Mercury, they're saying, is the closest to the sun. I don't
It
know
is
if that's
the closest,
correct.
but he's like its secretary.
I understand.
Soifer, because it follows wherever the lichtov derech hiluchot kufo. So that means Mercury follows whatever the orbit of the sun is. It's Matsui Etzlo Tami. Wherever you see the sun, that's where you see Mercury. The other planets don't necessarily follow the sun's orbit. Mercury does. Haiman de Belivna, if he's born under the moon, Yegvor Savil Mari. He will suffer pains. He will build and destroy and build. He will eat not of his own food and drink not of his own food. His secrets will remain hidden. And in Gonav Matzliach, if he enters the profession of being a thief, he'll be very Matzliach. Like the moon, the moon is hidden. That's why his secrets will remain hidden. Haiman de B'Shabto Yeh, if he's born under Saturn, Gvar Mechashavte B'Telim. His thoughts are forgotten, they don't remain. His ideas do not remain. Other people think, whatever people think about him, those will go away. Haiman de B'Tzedek, that's Jupiter. Govar Tzadkin, he will be a tzaddik. He'll give a lot of tzedakah. Amrav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Tzadkin b'mitzvahs, he'll be righteous in mitzvahs. Haiman de B'Madim, Madim is Mars. Yehegvar Ashei Dama, he will be a spiller of blood. Amrav Ashi, so Umna, he'll be a surgeon. Ganva, he'll be a thief, like an armed robber who will spill blood. Tabacha, he'll be a butcher. Or Moila, he'll be a moil, something to do with blood. Omer Rabba, Anab Madim Havoy. He says he was born in Madim. And he says he doesn't have any of those professions. What do you mean? You're the Rosh Yeshiva. You can give punishment as a dayan. You could technically commit capital punishment, although in the time of Bavel they didn't. And that is also spiller of blood, potentially. I'm just going to get a tissue, 1 second. Rav Chanina Omer, Mazel Machkim, Mazel Mashir. So first of all, under what constellation you're born will make a difference in terms of your wisdom, will make a difference regarding whether you're wealthy or not. And Yesh Mazel Yisrael. This will affect Jews. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, Ein Mazel Yisrael. No. By the way, when we say Yesh Mazel Yisrael, that would imply she'ein tefillah utzdaka mishanas hamazel. Then tefillah and tzedakah wouldn't work. However, if you hold ein mazel Yisrael, yedei tefillah uschus mishtana mazal l'tova. Through tefillah and zechuyos, it will change your mazel. Even if your mazel, maybe you were born under a certain mazel, which would lead you to a certain kind of thing. Now, I want to say maybe. What does it mean, mazel? I mean, at the time of Chazal, or the time of the Greeks, the only science that they knew was astronomy, which they called astrology, right? That was their scientific discipline. Ptolemy created, the Ptolemaic system existed until Copernicus. So there was a very careful astronomy where they knew what the orbits were and they could calculate the comets and everything. So what was that? So that's the scientific knowledge. Okay, so at that time, based on your birth, that's what they understood scientific. Today, we understand it as DNA. Watson and Crick, 1954, we understand that a person's nature is very much given by his DNA, how his brain is going to be formed and everything. We see that their genetics, the Soloveitchik family. Is it random that there's one genius after another? No, there's certain things that are inherited, and perhaps what this Yesh Mazel Yisrael, Ein Mazel Yisrael, that the concept of Mazel means based on the laws of nature. This is how you're going to be. So, but if you hold Ein Yesh Mazel Yisrael, then that's it. You can't change it because your DNA has determined what you're going to be. So the concept of Mazel is the deterministic view of science, how cause and effect. Here, you are what you are because based on your genes, created a certain brain and other parts of your body, and that you are what you are. You can't change it. No, if you hold Ein Mazel Yisrael, there's Mazel, and we're destined to be something, but through tefillah and zechuyos, etc., you can change your mazel. It means even though your nature is to be a violent person or to be a bad person, you can change it through the study of Torah and through tefillah and zechuyos. You can change it. That's just Ernie Agatstein's understanding. That's my pshat. That's the concept of, at that time, the science was more in the physical world, the astronomy. Today, it's more biological, but it's the same concept. Of course, each one of you can have your own ideas as well, how to understand this concept. We paskin, of course, Ein Mazel Yisrael, like what Walter was alluding to. V'az Rav Yochanan Tamei, Dam Rav Yochanan, Minayin she'ein Mazel Yisrael, Shneimar, Ko Amar Hashem, El derech hagoyim al tilamdu. Don't learn from the way the Gentiles. Umeotot hashamayim al techatu. Don't look at the signs of the heavens, i.e., the constellations. The non-Jewish world, they follow. There is cause and effect. There is science, and that leads to, there isn't the concept of Torah and Tefillah and Zechuyos, etc., etc. Now, you could have Chasidei Umas Ha'olam, also get Olam Haba. So someone who keeps the Shabbat mitzvahs, Bnei Noach, and he's one of the Chasidei Umas Ha'olam, has absolutely the same has the same zechuyos, and also perhaps could change his destiny as well. I'm not saying not, but the psukim say, of course, Klal Yisrael has the Torah, which makes it an easier vehicle for us to achieve all these things. Goyim yechatu v'lo Yisrael. That's Rav Yochanan. V'af Rav Savar ein mazal Yisrael. Rav is well held ein mazal Yisrael. Domer vidam Rav minayin shein mazal Yisrael shenemar. It says by Avram Avinu vayotzei oto achutza. He took him outside. What does that mean outside? Amar Avram lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ribono shel Olam ben beisi yorei shosi. Who's going to inherit me? My servant Eliezer. Amar lo lav ki im asher yitzei b'me'ach. No, you from your loins is going to come your heir. Amar lefanav Ribono shel Olam nistakalti b'tztagninu sheli ve'eni roi lahoili. Ben, I looked at my instagninus. And stagninus, it means astrology. But again, we know it's the Chazal say he was a hermaphrodite, Avram, or he was an islandist. That means he was physically incapable, biologically, of having children. So what does it have to do with instagninus? It means scientifically, Avram Avinu had investigated and understood through natural law alone, I would not be able to have children. Omer lei, say me instagnina shulcha. Leave your astrology behind. That's the vayotzeo to achutza. He took him out of the he took him out of the galgal of teva, out of the galgal of cause and effect. She'ein mazli Yisrael. You don't operate under the same terms. My daitcha. Now here, the Gemara tells us actually what did Avram Avinu calculate. Dekoit tzedek b'mayra, because you saw that you were born under Jupiter in the west, which is a cold place, and the ein roi lahoilid. Says Rashi, kach matzati b'talmud Rabbeinu Alevi. Rashi also didn't understand really what this means, right? But we might have a better understanding because we know from a biological standpoint, Avram Avinu could not be moli. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, no, it wasn't in the Meir, it was Mizracha, which is a makom of heat. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Karol Aviu LeMizrach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought Jupiter closer to the Mizrach, where it allowed for children to occur. That's because to help Avram Avinu. Okay. So far we've brought Rav Yochanan, we've brought Rav, and Shmuel also, who says Ein Mazli Yisrael. Remember, Shmuel was a doctor. Shmuel was an astronomer. And Shmuel v'Avleit Abu Yasvi. Avleit was a famous non-Jewish scientist. Obviously, Shmuel hung around with Avleit a lot because he also studied science. Rashi says he was choyze b'koichavim. He was an astronomer. They saw people going out to work. They were going out to the meadow. Amalei Avleit l'Shmuel. Avleit said to Shmuel, "Hi, Gav, you see that guy over there? He's going to go to work. He's not going to come back. Tarik le'chivyo mites. He's going to be bitten by a snake. He's going to die." Avleit saw in this person's astrology that was going to happen. Amalei Shmuel. So Shmuel said to him, "You know what? Ibar Yisraelu azal vasi. If he's a Jew, he's going to come back." And the Yossi, when they came back, azal vasi came back. Kam Avleit. Avleit stood up. Shani l'tunei ash. He went to his pack. Ashkech peichiva deposit for shani b'tarte guvi. He found a snake that had been cut in half. I mean, I guess while he was chopping wood, this guy didn't realize he cut the snake in half. But there was a snake there that could have been him. Amalei Shmuel my abdis. So Shmuel interrogated the Jew. What happened here? Amalei kol yom avamaramin rifta bahadi adari b'achlina. Every day we workers would go out to work. Each one of us would bring a loaf of bread. And then we would throw it into a general pool. So, and then we would take for lunch, each one would take their bread. But this guaranteed that everybody brought some food so they could share. Today, one of the workers, I saw the Lahavalei Rifti didn't have the loaf of bread. He was embarrassed. So Amina Lahu, Anoka Imnan Va'amina. So, because what happens when they would go around the room asking each person to dump their loaf of bread there, he's going to be embarrassed, doesn't have anything to give. So on that day, this guy, the guy who was saved, said, you know what, I'm going to arrange this. And and he made it as if he put another loaf of bread of his own in there to protect this guy from being embarrassed. In order so he wasn't embarrassed. So Shmuel said to him, he did a mitzvah. The charity that this person performed on behalf of this other person saved him from death. And it's not a concept that, listen, he was going to die no matter what. But he could have died from a terrible kind of death, but he was saved from a misa mishuna. No, he was mimisa atzma. It's even a greater thing. He was saved from death to life. Obviously, to be saved from a misa mishuna is a schos, but it's much bigger schos to be saved from death to life. And this guy saved himself from death to life with tzedakah. Finally, Rabbi Kiva Nami, Ein Mazel Yisrael. Everybody so far that we quoted were Amiroi. We quoted Rabbi Yochanan, we quoted Rab, we quoted Shmuel. The Gemara is a Mitzvah, even the Tana, Rabbi Akiva also held that Ein Mazel Yisrael. Rabbi Akiva Avalei Barta. Rabbi Akiva had a daughter, Armalei Kaldoi. Kaldoi was also some kind of astronomer. On the day of her wedding, Torek lechivu misa. She's going to be bitten by a snake and she'll die. Havidi iga milsa tuva. So the daughter was always, throughout her life, was always worried about this. So on the day of her wedding, she took like some kind of implement from her hair, like a brooch, and datsta beguda, she stuck it into the wall. Isrami isaveda the chiva, and it so happened that there was a snake in the wall, and she stuck it right in the eye of the snake. Litzafra in the morning, kikashakla, when she took the brooch from the wall of a kosaret, and she pulled the snake out, and the snake was dead. So Rabbi Kiva heard about the story, and he asked his daughter, "My abdus. So what did you do? What happened to you?" Amrulay, Bifanya asa anya. The evening of the wedding, a poor person came. Kara above and knocked on the door. Vavu treated kulam b'sudasa. Everybody, the waiters, everybody was busy with my wedding. The leka dishma, nobody heard the knocking. Ka'im, I heard it. Shkatl started obviously, and you had given me, I guess, some money, whatever, and yavosa niale, and I gave it to the poor person. Amar la mitzvah avdis. So Rabbi Kiva said, "You obviously the mitzvah that you performed saved you. Nafik Rabbi Kiva v'dor should stock a totzami maves. Charity will save from death. Even from death to life itself." And when Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Nami, Ein Mazel Yisrael, the image Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Armila Kaldoi, A certain astrologer had told the mother of Nachman, Brich Gan V'Hava, your child's going to be a famous Ganif. Lo Shvakte Gluya Reshe. The mother of Nachman never let him go out Gola Kop. Never let him go out without a yarmulke. This is one of the sources, say Chazal, for yarmulke. We see that it wasn't the minhag that everybody covered their hair. Talmidei Chachamim would cover their hair like with a turban. But maybe that was a uniform that various wisdom people would wear. And it says very clearly that children did not wear yarmulkes. And that's why when the mother demanded that Rav Nachman wear yarmulke, that he was unique, because you see, children didn't wear yarmulkes, but he was exceptional, and that's why it became a schus for him. In later generations, it became a general minhag that we wore yarmulkes. Shulchan Aruch says, Orach Chaim Beis, Ein alechas arba amas begilui arosh. You can't go daled amas without the yarmulke. Shkisa arosh hu minek chasidus, or maybe the Red Shamayim. V'niskar adar become a makoros. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Kamas Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. V'im ki yesh min haposkim shigdiru zos beferish k'minek chasidus bilvad. The Marshal and the Gra say, you don't have to wear yarmulke. It's just the minhag chasidus. Ula nagu Rav Yisrael lahakpi b'yosef b'davar. The minhag of Yisrael became to be makpid in it. That's the Shulchan Aruch. And this is one of the sources for yarmulke. Because Amr Lei Kasei Reisha you, Rav Nachman, my son, should always cover your hair, so you should have the fear of heaven on you. Boy, Rachmei. And the mother davened that that the Yetzer Hara shouldn't be matched on him. But Rav Nachman didn't realize what was the mother. What did he want? Why did she want this? Yom Echad Yosef Kogar's Tusei Dikla. He was learning under a palm tree. That Nofal Glima Me'iloi Reisha, and whatever he wore on his head fell off. He lifted his eyes, he saw the palm tree. Alma Yitzre, and this causes Yetzer Hara to grow. Solek Pascal Kibur B'Shine. And again, this palm tree did not belong to him. He bit off one of the fruit of the palm tree with his teeth because he had lost the protection of the yarmulke controlling his Yetzer Hara. But he was able to protect it. Through chinuch and tefillah, he ended up not doing it. Mishnah. So bluim are like cucumbers. These, of course, have been picked before Shabbos. And this is normally human food. So can you cut them up for a behema on Shabbos? This Mishnah says yes. It's not considered muktzah. And that's unavailable if they have clothing. So a live animal before Shabbos is for human consumption. Eventually it's going to be shechted and human people are going to eat it. Of course, humans cannot eat an avela. So we're talking about an animal that died on Shabbos. Before Shabbos, it was not prepared. If it was an avela before Shabbos, it's not muktzah. We're talking about it became muktzah on Shabbos. So before Shabbos, it was not designated yet for animal food. Now it dies, it only now becomes. So says this Mishnah, it also can be fed to the dogs. Because this is the opinion of Rab Shimon, who is lenient regarding muktzah. If the animal died before Shabbos, then it's an avela, then of course you can feed it to the dog, otherwise it's asura. So it's this old machlokas we've had throughout Masechta Shabbos. between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon regarding whether yesh muktzah or ein muktzah, or how severe they treat muktzah. Itmar. L'shachas zimin. Amar Ula. Halachik Rabbi Yehuda. That we're stringent. However, Shmuel Malach Rabbi Shimon, that no, we can feed the Dluim, Lifnei Abeima, and we can feed the Nevim. Vav Rav Savar Lach Rabbi Yehuda. Rav also paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Midi Krochet Yuzuzi the Rav. There were various mats. Rashi says, Maktolas Asuyas Laspinos, these were mats for boats, Lachasos per Kamatya. They use it to cover the cargo on the boat. And Rav prohibited you from using this on Shabbos, like Rabbi Yehuda. Ushmuel Shari. Remember, the basic machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon is, Rabbi Shimon holds, as long as the thing is an implement and can be used for something, it's not muktzah, even if it's not used for its normal thing. So, for example, during the chol, this mat is used to cover cargo. But on Shabbos, it can be used to sit on. So he says, since it's a useful utensil, you can use it. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, it's got to be specific, and if it's not designated for use on Shabbos, it's awesome. So Shmuel Shari, Baf Levi Saralach Rabbi Yehuda. Levi also held like Rabbi Yehuda. Kihad Levi Kabumaisu Trefos Lakame Biyom Tova. So let's say they shechted an animal on Yontif. You're allowed to shecht on Yontif for Oichel Mem. And then there was a question, one of the organs has a hole in it, is it a treifa or not? They would bring an animal to Levi to check. Lav Chazila, he wouldn't look at the animal. Elek Yosef Akil Kalte. They would have to put the animal on like a garbage dump. Because if he doesn't miskasher it, you wouldn't be able to, if he says it's treif, then you can't touch it anymore. So obviously, he held that nevela, if it even became a nevela on Shabbos or Yontif, you couldn't feed to the dog, which is not like Rabbi Shimon our Mishnah. Shmuel Rabbi Shimon. Shmuel was lenient. Bav Zeiri Saralach Rabbi Shimon. As we also have Rabbi Shimon, this non Behema Shemesa, an animal that died, lo yatzis enemim koma, you can't touch it. However, Tirgum is the Iri, the Mem is Kotchim. That's talking about a Kotchim animal. Because a Kotchim animal that dies, you can't do anything with that. You can't eat that. You can't even throw it to a dog because it's Kotchim. It was Kotchim, so it's treated with covet. Avabachul and Shapir Dami.
But this is only Shabbos. After Shabbos, you can do whatever you want to.
No, not
a kochim. I know
a kochim animal. If it died,
you can't move it.
There's nothing because you can't. No, you can move it, but there's no. You can't feed it to clothing because remember, in a chanan, but a regular nevela you could feed to clothing. So when
you can't do it on Shabbos. You can't do any of them on Shabbos.
You can if it was chulin, not if it was because that's exactly what. It says behema shemesa lo yazizena bim koma. So Rabbi Yehuda would, so that's any animal. But Rabbi Shimon says that an animal that died on Shabbos you can feed to the dogs because it's muchan. We don't have to make it muchan from erev Shabbos. As once it becomes muchan, it's already ready for the. You don't need hachana like Rabbi Yehuda requires. So where do we see that Zeiri holds like Rabbi Shimon? Because he says he's magdir, he qualifies this case to say, you know why it's awesome? Because it's behemoth's kotshim. But if it would be a behemoth's chulin, you'd be allowed to move it because you're allowed to feed it to the dogs. That's how we prove that Zeiri holds like Rav Shimon. But Rav Yochanan Amar Lach Rav Shimon. Freit the Gemara, mi Amar Rav Yochanan Hachi, but Rav Yochanan Lach is the Mishnah. We paskin. We'll see like Shmuel. We paskin like Reb. We're lenient like Reb Shimon. Okay, so tomorrow we'll learn at 7:30.